Hello, and welcome to Becoming Relentless. I am your host, Tom Alvarez, and I'm excited to have you with me today as we embark on a journey of self discovery, growth, and transformation. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful psychological frameworks ever created. I'm going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of need. If you ever wonder why you do what you do or what's missing from your life, this episode it's for you. By the end of this episode, you will have a better understanding of what drives your choices, how to grow through life's difficult stages, and why motivation goes deeper than this. Let's be honest, motivation is not the same for everyone. Some people may get motivated by certain things that you're not going to find motivational at all. And does that make sense? Right? It doesn't really make sense as to why it is how it is. If your basic needs aren't being met, like sleep, safety, or connection, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get hyped about vision boards and goal setting app. For a long time, people thought that motivation boiled down to instinct or external rewards. You know, the survival stuff. Or do this and get that. But that's only scratching the surface. There's way more to it than just that. This is where Maslow's comes in. With a more human approach, he said motivation isn't just about wanting more, it's about what's missing right now. And when we meet one level of need, we naturally reach for the next. Motivation is dynamic and deeply personal. And sometimes you're going to be motivated about one thing, and later on, that same thing that motivated you at the beginning will motivate you again because you have already moved on to another level of your need. Back in 1943, Dr. Abraham Maslow flipped the script with a paper that moved psychology away from just fixing problems and towards helping people thrive. His work helped kick off humanistic psychology, a perspective that looked at what's right with us instead of what's wrong with us. At the heart of this wonderful theory, there was something big, and that something is self actualization. That's Maslow's idea of becoming your fullest and most realized self. Not perfect, not flawless, just fully you. Living with purpose, growing on purpose, and contributing in a way that feels meaningful. However, for us to get to the point, we must climb the pyramid and go through every obstacle, every painful moment that we must get through just so we become self aware. In this theory, there are 5 core levels. The first level on this pyramid is physiological needs. This is the survival mode: food, water, sleep, shelter, you know, the essentials. When you're struggling in life and nothing seems to be going right, you're skipping meals, you're not sleeping properly, you're not taking care of yourself, your physical self, that need is not being met. So you won't be able to really take care of the rest of the needs until those are met. Level 2 is safety needs. Once you're surviving, your mind looks for stability. Let's talk about financial anxiety, health, or emotional security, especially relevant if you're job hunting or in transition, just like I am right now. When your financial needs are not being met, that's essentially going to make you feel unsafe because you don't know where the next paycheck is going to come from. You don't know how you're going to get the money to survive and buy food and shelter and things of that nature. So those safety needs are not being met. So before moving on to the next stage, you must try to find a way to make sure that those needs. The third stage is love and belonging. Here's where the connection comes in. Family, friends, feeling part of something, part of a community. That feeling that you get when you're having a good laugh with friends and loved ones. Being around those people that make you laugh, that encourage you to move on, and are always there to support you, that feeling of community is a much needed part of our everyday life. This part about love and belonging, it's a little bit different in today's world. When you think about it, we have social media that is supposed to help us reach out to loved ones and friends and see how they're doing. But in reality, all that's really doing is making us a lot more alone because we're not going out as much and spending time with these people. Think of it as being connected, but yet alone. Social media also causes another set of problems, and that is the next level on Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid, and it is esteem, self esteem. This is about feeling capable, respected, and confident. But if you focus on social media and what everyone else is posting, a lot of people tend to compare themselves to their friends and loved ones and think that they're not doing enough because they're not posting all these wonderful things that are being shared online. That's not always how people are. That's what most of us call it the highlight reel because everyday life is not that exciting. For you to be able to start to thrive in life, you must first look within your own self esteem, your internal self, and start to validate your own feelings before you start to look for them externally. This could make it very difficult to balance the validation from within us and the validation from others, which could sometimes be two completely different things. That validation from others, a lot of us look for it, but it's not always necessary. The validation that really matters is this validation from within. Once you start to validate your own self and start to be proud of who you are and what you've accomplished, and that level is self actualization, the top of the pyramid, becoming the best version of yourself. Unfortunately, at this level, we don't live there permanently because I just don't know how it would be possible to do that. But we could go in and out of it as we need to. Life always has a way of really showing us what we're really capable of. But then at the same time, it shows what we're not capable of doing. So it's a mind fuck, let me be honest with you. There are days when I feel like I'm on top of the world and I'm getting so much accomplished and so many things are being done and I just feel incredible. But then there are also those other days in which I don't. I feel miserable. I feel tired. And that's when I had to sit back and reflect and see why I am feeling the way that I'm feeling and start to go up and down the pyramid several times and see, okay, which of these needs are not being met today. And that's when I start to really hone in on exactly what I need to do to get me back up. Later on, Maslow added other areas of the pyramid, which I did not discuss here because I didn't feel like they were the core of what I'm trying to achieve. And that is cognitive needs, curiosity, learning, understanding. For you to be able to grow in life, you must be curious. You must be, want to learn. You must want to have a urge, a desire to understand the world around you and the why we do what we do. That'll make you have more of that growth mindset, the mind that you need to be able to continue moving forward in your life. The other step is the aesthetic needs, the appreciation of beauty, design, harmony. I I'm a believer of beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So to me, yeah, I'm a fan of art and design, and I do love it all. But it's not something that's really, really important for me. Although being creative is part of who I am, but if I go a week or so without being creative, it's not the end of the world. And the last new step that was added is transcendence, which is helping others, connecting to something bigger than you. Some people may call this spirituality, others may call it something else, to be honest with you. But this area, it's a little bit more of a sensitive subject for people because it touches upon religion. And that is one thing that I'm just not going to discuss here. For me personally, I felt the sting of uncertainty, especially lately when looking for work. It has not been easy. It has been scary, very uncertain, but it's something that I'm getting through by creating these articles that I've been working on. This podcast. It's taught me a lot, and it continues to teach me that this is how life is. Life is not always going to be predictable. You're not always going to know what's going to happen next. But if you start to build the foundation for yourself and start to create that world that you seek and start to work on yourself, that change is inevitable and you will get better. You will overcome. That uncertainty touches a lot on the importance of safety, esteem, and motivation. Because if there is no income coming in, at least from my perspective, we don't feel safe, like I mentioned earlier. And that is one thing that is very important for our stress levels and, of course, our overall physical needs. Because of all these stressors, we often skip levels as we go through life. Modern life often keeps us stuck between these stages, especially between safety and esteem, like I just mentioned. It is very important to know that you're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. The goal isn't to conquer the pyramid, but it is to move between levels more intentionally as you go through life. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about everything that I just discussed and ask yourself this: what do I really need right now? What am I reaching for? What is that one thing that I need? So think about your physiological need, your safety needs, your love and belonging needs, your esteem, and think about that self awareness. Think about all of those things and see where you are in the pyramid, where you are in life, and what's going to help you get to the next level. If you're interested in reading more about this, feel free to go to my website, therelentlessminds.com. I wrote an entire article based on research and references, all on the website. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need a little extra inspiration. And remember, every small step you take is a step towards a better you. I can't wait to chat with you next time about more self-development tips and practical ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. Until then, be kind to yourself, and remember, your thoughts don't define you. You do. Onward, forward,